Hello, and how's everyone doing today? I see stream intro screen music wasn't on your list of New Year's resolutions. It I don't know, man. I am not muted. Can you all not hear me? Because on my end it says I'm trans. Yeah, I'm not okay. Oh, but y'all are scaring me first thing in the morning. I forgot to pin this. I guess I did forget one little thing here. It's not like you're a composer or anything. It's tough to write music. uh Need to make up for slipping character last week? Get pranked. That's what it felt like. Oh man. How is everyone today? We got Evil here, Oblivious Scaris, Pear, Charm Tiger, Cracked Machine, FHI, Corticool. Is that that's not Corticool's first time here. Okay. For some reason I thought that was a new viewer there. Anyways, welcome to the stream. Gnomafire, welcome, Mosnick. Now Gnomafire is new, right? Yeah. Oh no, Mosnick's new. A lot of names I'm not familiar with though, so this is a good opportunity to get more familiar with some of these. The Youth Worship Explosion. Spiral Out, Synops, Nomad is an Island, Kevin Neely. Glad to have y'all. Yeah, Kevin, you're new too. Very cool. Glad to see some new faces. Not faces though. Um, New screen names? I don't know. That doesn't work in a digital context. I got to figure out a better term for this. Oh, you suggested Kiteman Orchestra. Awesome. Yeah, dude, that was a phenomenal album. I'm really glad we got a chance to check that out. I had never heard of it prior. You agreed with a lot that I said. First half was more interesting. Yeah, I think it ends up working thematically, like I mentioned at the end of the video, but dang, I definitely lost some of the wind beneath my wings coming into the end of that album. Brian's a spy. I can see through the screens. I've been running hacks on you from the beginning. Cool. Subbed in December. Okay. So yeah, still a fresh name, only a couple of weeks old. Still though, well, I mean, we did take 2 weeks off, so maybe I've only seen your name once before, which is what threw me off. How does the stream work? All right, so I have usually 10 to 13 songs pre-picked from my patrons, and we go through them one by one, sometimes derailing between tracks for off-topic conversation. Saint AT, welcome. What's happening with me? Nothing much, just a nice chill Sunday. What about you? Doing music reviews? Less review, more reaction, just kind of checking out some cool stuff. I do have proper music criticism over on my YouTube channel though, if you're interested. Wow, dude, thank you so much. Jeez. I don't know, I'm gabsmacked. Gobsmacked? I can't even speak right. Thanks so much. Dang. Just got some food. I hope it's delicious. I'll be eating in a couple hours. Gonna try a new pizza joint today. So I'm excited to see what turns out from that. I don't have any bots set up. I know I'm like a noob Twitch guy. I've only been doing this for what, like 6 months now? I still haven't dove deep into the bot world yet. But let me I have this right here. Not create channel. Where is server settings? I'll get you a Discord link the old fashioned way, just by hand here. How's everyone else doing today though? Oh, I don't know how this works. This is the invite code. I got this. It's on my link tree. Wait. Critical. I can't type today. Bunch of new people come in. toss out some random subs, and now I can't think, I can't act, I don't know what I'm doing. Getting real awkward up in here. But I think I figured things out. This is not a great first introduction, or maybe it's a great first introduction. Maybe you're just really fond of awkward people. All right, Discord link. Bam. Oh, you just got to put discord.gg in front of it? All right, get it together. Also, you keep calling me twin. What's up with that? Is it like, is that just like new slang that kids are using? Do we look similar? Hackerman Brian's got this. Dude, somebody dropped the Hackerman gif. Lairfinder, welcome. 9 Shades of Music YouTuber. You don't see XQC losing it when he gets subbed. See, this is unique content right here. You're not going to get this anywhere else. It's just something you say? Okay. Okay. Because, you know, maybe it's like a little secret, you know? You saw this guy on Twitch, you're like, hey, that guy kind of looks like me. And then you just subtly drop this twin language. And then out of nowhere, like 10 years down the road or something, we meet at some convention and you're like, hey, I'm the guy who keeps calling you twin. And it's like looking in a mirror. Like, that would be bizarre. The charismatic voice regrets releasing you. Jeez. All right. Let's get today rolling. We got some cool stuff going on. I'm excited about some of the stuff we're gonna check out today. How do we get Discord? I dropped the Discord link in the chat. If you're talking about the Discord app itself, you can just use a webpage, discord.gg, or grab the app on your mobile device. You had that whole scenario in your head? I did, dude. My mind's really creative when it wants to. Twin implies existence of those. Are you saying there's no twins? All right, there's the link tree if anyone wants other links, like to my music or the massive spreadsheet I have that documents all 3,000 reactions we've done, or I don't know, anything else you might be interested in. I'm double checking the spelling on it. Don't need another typo today. We've already had one. This is great. Good start to the day. All right. Let's I run ads at the beginning because I don't think I have a choice in that. When you log on, you might see an ad or two if you're not running an ad blocker. But I don't run midstream ads because I don't take breaks. Oh, actually, you know what? If I was like real good capitalistic person, I might run ads when I have to step away. And I put that little screen up, you know, it says, be right back or something like that, or technical difficulties. I can run ads during those. The Twitch link is not on Linktree. Good call. Linktree needs updated. Twitch. That goes in my list of the rebranding, the updating. Patreon is getting a massive update maybe next week. There's a brand new UI. I can pin posts, which is pretty cool. I can put some really important stuff at the top, like the early access link and the general information FAQ, whatever I end up naming it. So I'm going to be doing that next week because this week is going to be devoted to the album of the year video, which is going to take up all of my free time and probably more. But Cruelty Squad teach you something. You know what's funny too is I was watching speedruns of Cruelty Squad this morning because Games Done Quick happened this last week and it's got me in a speedrunning mentality. And I was wondering if there was anything I could do that would be able to show off gyro aiming because I feel like it's just not well known and I really love doing that. So I was like, all right, a first-person shooter that I could play quick. What about Cruelty Squad? So I went and looked at speedruns. That's way above my pay grade. The stuff they're doing is wild. But I was thinking about Cruelty Squad this morning, which is funny that you bring it up. You were documenting the reactions you'd vote on or request, and it came across Brian with angel wings flying. Oh, yeah, dude. So, for those who were around at the beginning, I used to do edited videos for the blocked videos. And so like I had a pre-recorded, just pretty standard scripts and recording of, hey, this video is blocked. There's a link in the description to watch the unblocked version. But it was in front of a green screen, and I would do all sorts of editing on it. And I don't know, I haven't stretched those muscles in a long time, but I'd love to again. I think my favorite one so far was I did like an Iron Man heads-up display where like it panned over and this digital heads-up display came up, and then there's like a little targeting reticle and it followed my head and had like, I think it said like composer next to it, a critic or something like that. Dude, and then I think I had like a digital display of the songs that were in I think it was a live stream that got blocked, and it was like the list of songs in a live stream. I miss doing that. It takes a lot of time though. Those videos were like a minute and a half or so, and it'd probably take me about 2 hours to do all the editing on them. You actually just started making music. About how about y'all? When did y'all start making music? That's a good question. I mean, I started making music back in middle school. Wild times. But I think when I really started making good music, probably about high school, college, joined a band, took music composition, music theory courses, started to apply all that. But I'm curious about other people too. I think that that question's kind of directed at everyone. And I know we have some people in the Discord just starting their musical journey, and it's very cool following all of that too. So, yeah. This is a positive community. Well, at least you acknowledge that you're the troll here. Hopefully this helps you escape for a little while. Absolutely. Be making music for fun. Yeah, dude. I think that's really what it is at the end of the day. If you can turn that into a money-making hobby and live off of that, excellent. But I think that if you ever go into any sort of art for the money, yeah, you're just not going to have a good time. It really needs to come from a place of joy. A self-aware troll. I like it. Learned piano at 6. Dang, dude. That's awesome. All right, y'all can discuss that. We're going to dive into this. Kick it off with our first song today. We got some Alissa White-Gluz and Charlotte Wessels. I hope I pronounced all of that correctly. I probably didn't. Track's called Lizzie. Music in this stream. Y'all can try to derail me all you want, but we're getting through every track today. Feel comfortable with outed trolls? At least you know what you're dealing with at that point. Let's see, do we have context on this? From Tiger Charm, to celebrate Alissa quitting Arch Enemy and finally getting to sing cleanly more often, here is a duet, originally appearing on Alissa's fan club site and then Charlotte's Patreon, but later appeared on Charlotte's album Tales from 6 Feet Under. Beautiful voices and harmonies. Music is a nice change of pace from the yapping. Did I ever listen to Noisecore? I don't think so. Y'all introduced me to Weirdcore last week. And I checked out a little bit of that, but Noisecore, I don't think so. Where do we submit the music? If you join Patreon, there is a post that should be pretty close to the top called January Livestream Requests, or you can place it under January Livestream Schedule. And I will see that and update the schedule for it. I think our next open slot will be on the final Sunday. Yeah, so the 25th is where we still have slots left. Talk about having more noise in the channel quite recently. I don't want more noise in the channel. Y'all are intent on giving it to me, though. That's for sure. All right, let's kick this off. Let's get some of this Alissa in here with Charlotte. See what's going on with the track Lizzie. What if music is not just noise that sounds agreeable to the ear? What is music if not noise? Yeah, okay. You remember me being displaced? We have a nice 3/4 right here. Ooh, the pizzicato on the strings is nice. Dude, it's been less than a minute and you're already unimpressed. They showed a guitar, but does anyone else hear a guitar? We have pizzicato strings, percussion, piano. The guitar's the friend we met along the way. Guitar's meant to be seen, not heard. Yeah, she actually just left Arch Enemy recently. It almost feels like it wants to be musical theater though, and I think that's where the instrumentation is de-emphasized so much against the vocals. For a split second I thought it was over, and I was really going to question that ending. Feel like this could be in a Disney movie? Yeah, I could see that. Thought it was an ad. So maybe I can hear the timbre of the guitar on these quarter note hits alongside the piano and the string hits, but I don't know. I think that right there from Spiral Out is where I'm at. I do think it's missing something, but I think if you recontextualize this into the framework of a musical, you could probably get away with something like this. I think you would still want a little more from the instrumentation just to fill the sound out. But if you take it from the approach that the lyrics are the most important elements of this, the instrumentation is there to set the mood, and I think we all felt that mood. I don't think a lot of us enjoyed the atmosphere of this, but it certainly felt what they were aiming for. Seemed like super generic stage music. Yeah, I'm kind of reluctant to agree with the generic part of that, but it is quite iterative. And I think the main issue with it isn't necessarily the lack of instrumentation, it's the homogeneity of instrumentation, where a lot of the instruments are just pulsing on the downbeat. We got that bum, 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 bum. We have that from the piano. We have that from the pizzicato strings. Even during the more legato style strings, it's da, 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 da. It's just really focusing on this one rhythmic device. And even just having some eighth notes in there. I mean, we saw some of those cascading descending eighth notes on the pizzicato strings at the beginning, and that helped give just a little bit of some rhythmic variety to it. I would have loved for a little bit more of that. But I think the real culprit here, as someone mentioned earlier, is the production. The vocals don't feel like they fit with the instrumentation. So even when we have situations where the vocals are acting as counterpoint to the melodic, though not necessarily melody-driven instrumentation, you don't really get that feeling of counterpoint because they feel too distant in the mix. I think if it had been mixed more cleanly together, we would hear the playfulness between some of the instrumental parts and the vocal lines, and I think that really would have made things click better. So I don't think it's a bad song. I think it could use a little bit of extra layering to it. I think the production could be a little more grouped up, but otherwise, I think it's a solid track. A good 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, right there, a little bit above mid, but it has some subtle issues with it that kind of detract from that. Not bad, more like a demo. That's a really good description too. I do feel like it's a little bare bones. Some stuff just needs tweaked a little bit and it'll get bumped up really well. Composition was lacking. I think they thought about putting the vocals in the front light and they were awesome, but that doesn't mean the composition can be more or less ignored. That's fair too. That's fair too. Even though it wasn't offensive, it never reached its destination. I will say that the hard stop at the end of the second third into the finale should have been a big moment, and it didn't hit that. I don't think it was volume because they've been full volume the whole time, but maybe more intensity harmonically, maybe more layers would have helped the final third feel impactful. It never quite hit the peak though that I feel like it wanted to, even though harmonically it went through the journey. I don't think there was issues with the chordal work. It just never felt like it reached a peak. You submit something besides metal and it gets decimated. I don't know if I'd say that. It's still a good song. It's just, I hear potential in it. It could have been better. I think that's my problem with it. It's not that it's bad. It just could have been great. All right. Wait, is that why decimated starts with deci? It literally has something to do with 10? Huh. Yeah, I think disappointing is a good word, although I think generally people can read disappointment in a more negative manner. But in this case, it's literally that I heard more potential and didn't get it. This song could have been a 9 out of 10 and it was a 7. So I am disappointed, but it's not, I don't think it's super negative, even though disappointment tends to be a really negative feeling. Yeah, dude, that's cool about Decimate, though. Interesting. I have definitely used it wrong my whole life. They killed every 10th person in the army. So when you decimate the army, it wasn't just that you had a resounding victory in the battle. You literally took out 10% of their people. Okay. Wow. Interesting. As usual, somehow we get English language lessons during streams. I don't know how we always land on this, but I'm glad. Yeah, glad to educate. I'm glad to be educated. This is great. All right. Next up, we have some Cytherean with the track Sungazer, but this is not the band Sungazer. I have to keep reminding myself that. Also, this abstract art has got me a little wary. I don't know what's going to go on here. Wait, Sungazer is the band? All right, so I got to swap that. Apparently, I got that mixed up. Sungazer is the band. All right, good call. We got context for this. Cytherean from Sungazer, buttery smooth grooves featuring drummer Sean Crowder. All right. Look, this wasn't me, okay? I just copy and pasted. Maybe I could have double checked it, but I didn't. Yeah, there's no excuse. It's just, that's the series of events. I did not double check this. All right, let's dive into this. See what's going on with Sungazer.
Unto the place from whence the rivers come.
Does Fantano make this mistake on his streams? I don't know. I don't watch him. Josiah's just my second account.
Thither they return again. Unto the place from whence the rivers
Okay,
come.
this is a cool start though.
Thither they return again. Thither they return again.
I hope it does. Hey, Maury? I hope I'm pronouncing that right one of those ways. I'm doing excellent. How are you doing today? Flows very well so far. It was just a little disjointed. I wanted that, it was like slight double vision. I just wanted it to sync up. This guitar has a slight delay on it, maybe? It sometimes sounds like there's three guitars, and the rhythm isn't always in line with the drums, and it creates this really interesting friction. Oh, I didn't know this song was so quiet. Great vibes though.
They return again.
The slight delay. So if I'm counting this right, at least one of the rhythmic devices in here, we're looking at 11/8 for the time signature. Oh wait, this is Adam Neely? That makes a lot of sense actually. Slow 4/4 in sevens? A little slower than that. Dude, that's wild. That's wild. format shifting is interesting. Like I had to clarify, Kenny G on a lot of drugs. All right, so those who don't know, Adam Neely is a YouTuber, bass player, does a lot of music theory videos, well thought out, scripted, usually 10 to 20-minute videos, and incredibly formative to some of my journey as a YouTuber as well, because it was channels like his and 12 Tone that introduced me to the idea that people really like listening to music theory on YouTube. And so this is kind of interesting to kind of bring this full circle of my exterior musical hobbies, I guess, and kind of bringing that into the reaction sphere here. But yeah, knowing that this is Adam Neely and as complex as it gets rhythmically, that makes a lot of sense to me. And the funny thing is Sungazer, like, it kind of was in the back of my head when I said that this, this is the song Sungazer, not the band Sungazer, because I had that mixed up. And I was like, why do I know the band Sungazer though? And I'm like, is that Adam Neely's band? I don't know. I don't remember. It was though. But what's interesting about this track in particular is the expansion of the song. It's kind of just two ideas. We're looking at a melodic expansion starting off at the beginning with just one instrument and kind of a simple form of it. And as we go through the song, we expand it and add to it and explore what this melody is, not by growing necessarily outward, but viewing inward, what is in between some of these notes. The same thing can be said of the harmonic element. Where the chordal progression gets denser and more complex as we get into the song, taking the same general blueprint we started with and saying, well, what if we dig further into it? And I think the same thing, which we all probably felt, can be said of the rhythmic device. Very similar at the end to the start, just way more complex, way more polymeters going on. What if we split the drums up and the sax up? What if we look at 7-tuplets or 5th-tuplets as who was that? Corticool had mentioned. And it really is about taking something that is semi-palatable at the beginning with just a little bit of friction and stretching it out and really seeing how far you can push it while it still retains its core identity. I don't know if I enjoyed it sonically as something I would just put on for the sake of putting it on, but as an exercise, I thought that was phenomenal. And I'm probably going to end up checking it out another couple of times just to further familiarize myself with this expansive style of writing, not of growing an idea out, but diving into an idea and figuring out the complexities within it. Yeah, the exercise of complicating a basic idea and pushing it to its limits while never breaking it without reaching that point of the song falling apart or the core identity, that blueprint that we started with being unrecognizable by the end. That's what I mean by that. Because while I think this is a fine track, and if you just enjoy this casually, that's fine too. Everyone enjoys different kinds of music, but this is also something that I could see in academia. A prompt of create an A section and then really complicate it without losing the heart. And that's what I mean by an exercise. Too polished and didn't like the vocals. I will say that the format shifting was interesting. That felt very modern compared to sort of the avant-garde jazz approach where we kind of bring in an electronic side to it, more of that modern progressive writing. Drummer splits his body in half in this song. At the end, the left arm and right foot is in 7 and the right is in 5. That's just bonkers, dude. Thought you were getting Radiohead, but got so much more. Okay, I can see the Animals as Leader Snarky Puppy combo. Yeah, 100%. Alpha Wolf Music, you can just ignore Youth Worship Explosion if you want. Isn't academia solely focused on music that's almost 100 years old? Absolutely not. Not in any way. Well, okay. If you wanted to, you could probably focus your academic studies on older music, particularly classical, and I don't think you'd have a problem finding courses to fill that out. But there is absolutely classes for all sorts of things. I mean, what was it? In Australia, I don't remember if it was a university or a conservatory, was teaching Neobliviscaris in one of the courses. So, I mean, academia is about music as an art form, not just classical. But if someone had told you that academia is just learning classical music, one, they might not have gotten very far in the course, but two, I think that it is something you can get stuck in because there's a lot of courses about the classics. A lot. Basically anything pre-modern, which I would say is probably like 1900s. There's a lot of courses about that. And it really depends on the school too. So, and well, the teacher as well, especially if you're going for a non-specific course, like maybe you're just taking up guitar class, right? You're taking Guitar 101 or something. If you have a teacher who's very strict about only the old stuff is the good stuff, yeah, you're probably going to be forced to play a lot of classical guitar. But if you have a more modern teacher, they might let you play something more modern as long as it fits the criteria for whatever the coursework is. So yeah, the classical there's a lot of that in academia. Could you play Slit Your Guts? It, like I said, it depends on the course and the teacher. 100%. One of my art history classes had me listening to Corey Henry and comparing it to Chick Corea. That sounds bonkers, but I bet that was a fun project. You don't like those complicated ideas first and make a passable song around it instead of a good song first. Interesting. There's been a lot to learn from the 1900s and back, but focusing solely on it is anti-music. I 100% agree. Oh, yeah, dude. If it's metal with classical guitar in it, like I said, the right teacher and the right assignment, you could probably get away with that. I mean, the point of education at the end of the day is to learn skills. Sometimes those skills are honed, but also skills are adaptable, particularly in the realms of art. If you're only ever looking towards the past, you're never going to innovate. And academia can be stuffy, but I do think that the best professors out there are going to be the ones who understand that the purpose of the writing is to expand the minds and to focus on the art itself, the exploration of the human condition through picture, through sound, through body movement. So there's always that though, the difference between a good professor and a bad professor, and you can't help that. Matson Morgan, we're talking the Dirty Loops bassist the board. Oh, we're taking the Dirty Loops bassist the board. Dude, that is exciting. Good stuff. Got frustrated in my music degree because I didn't care about classical music at all. I regret not paying more attention to those classical courses. Yeah. I feel that way too. Not necessarily about music, because I think that's when I started to get serious. But when I started my college courses, I was actually taking computer science for programming. And school, it destroyed my passion for programming. I didn't go back to programming for like 6 years, and that's actually why I did my what are my major change. I couldn't think of the word major to music, because I already had a lot of experience making music and playing music, and with programming kind of like dying internally for me, I was like, well, let's just do music. That's going to be fun too. So I don't know, sometimes things work out. Closest I got to something like analyzing full-on metal in academia was with the band Ad Nauseum, and how they applied the modern stylings of composers like Xenakis to metal themings and timbres. That's a pretty cool paper, though. So some of the Comp Sci 101 courses are brutal. They are, because all I wanted to do was make video games, and here I was learning how to make like bank apps and GUIs and stuff. I'm not a front end person, so all the interface stuff is boring to me anyways. But like, I didn't want to make applications. I wanted to make video games. I wanted to type some stuff in, and through the arcane magic of computers, see like sword fighting or jumping puzzles and stuff. And like, it just, all the exercises bored me. And it's not like I didn't do well. I aced all of them. It was just, it wasn't engaging. Creation is a very different skill set. Some can only replicate or mimic pictures, while others can do expression. Yeah, that's all art, 100%. You don't know how you found my channel, but you're glad I did. I'm glad you did too, man. This is great. And also, I see, you got music in your name. Do you make music? Do you have a link or anything? I'd love to check some out. Known a ton of musicians that seemingly have no interest in being their own artists. That's actually not terrible. Some people just really enjoy the process of playing instruments. I mean, yeah, and that's fine. Exactly. I thought you were going on a negative edge with that, but yeah, we're on the same page there. 20 minutes in and 2 songs done. That's being on track for us. Yeah. Comp science is about learning to problem solve and optimize. Don't underestimate the skill of problem solving that you develop through it. That's fair. And like I said, a few years after too, I started to self-teach, and I put together some hobby games that, as I've talked in the past, are not worth playing. They were all learning experiences for me. But I really love that problem solving elements of, this is what I want to happen. How do I use all of these tools to do that? And music, I kind of approach the same way. I want to explore this emotion or this atmosphere. I want the audience to feel this feeling. How do I use the tools of theory to do that? So honestly, I guess programming and composition are very similar skill sets in my mind, just 2 different tool sets. Analysis and design stuff is fun. The programming is just dull. I can get behind that. You're a composer, current music production student. Most of my music is on my YouTube, same username. Very cool. Let me, where'd my marker go? I'm going to make a note of this. I'm going to check some of that out. Alpha Wolf Music. YouTube. All right. Music is about searching in an unexplored realm, trying to find gold, and then you get to the tweaking and whatever idea you discover. Yeah. I mean, there's also that element too, the like the noodling process, when maybe I don't have a specific vision in mind, but I really want to write something. You just pick up an instrument and see where it takes you. I really love that too. And I'm trying to remember what composer had mentioned that they didn't create anything. They only ever put to sound what some other, like a muse or a higher being, told them. It was more about discovery than creation. And I'm paraphrasing heavily. I don't remember the exact quote from this composer either. But that line's always spoken to me too. Math and music are similar, and that a lot of people like both. I mean, music, when you get to the science of it, is a lot of math. When you get to like the actual sound physics, sound waves, measuring sound. You find out that a lot of the times we talk about note intervals, we're really talking about math. And of course, the metric side of things is incredibly mathy. So you did UI in college? Yeah. My first class, I skipped pseudocode. I don't remember why I got to skip the pseudocode class. I'm glad I did, though. But my first course was learning C, and we had to make interfaces within a command prompt. And my next class was Java, and we ended up working with some Microsoft's compiler and builder, and we had to do GUI with that, and not GUI, UI, and I hated it. You can make music without knowing any theory. You can't program without knowing theory. Yeah, that's fair. Although you got those vibe coders these days. Uh, all right, I'm going to try to course correct this, get back on track. Fortunately, most of the songs today are sub 4 minutes, so I think that's going to give us some nice padding. What is vibe coding? It's when people type into AI what they want and then copy the AI code in and then try to tweak it, only having like 10% knowledge of how to code. And when things break, asking the AI how to fix it. It's ridiculously inefficient, but a lot of people are doing it these days. I don't know why it's called vibe coding. I think that's a terrible weaponized. Oh my god. Oh jeez, that's good. Solving tech debt hallucinated by machines. That is a good way of putting it too. Yeah, vibe coding is just terrible. Don't do it. Just learn the craft. Don't use AI for anything. Learn the craft. Learn how to make a spreadsheet. Learn how to write music. Learn how to draw. Just put some effort into it. I think that's the thing that kills me about it. I don't think AI is completely worthless. It has uses, but never to do the job, because then you've just removed the effort. And when you removed effort, particularly from art, from the process of writing, drawing, creating music, you're not making art anymore. You're just making things. I don't know. Asinine intelligence. Oh my god, dude, you brought back memories. TI-83 with their programming language of TI Basic. Mm-hmm. That was what I spent a lot of my math courses in 11th and 12th grade doing. And then I got the TI-89, and they updated the language to, I think they called it TI Basic 89 because it was on the TI-89, and something about it. I don't know if it was the syntax or the vocabulary. I couldn't program in it. Like, the TI-83 was my home. Hey, Veiled Radiance, welcome. AI is good for data analysis. Yeah. Like I said, it has uses, especially for like low impact ideas. Stuff that you would be grunt work for someone that you have to do to get whatever you're doing up and running, but it's really not engaging, it's not difficult, just it's really time consuming. I think AI is good for that. The AI will use you when it's needed. Yeah, TI like the calculators. Mm-hmm. I started out making function programs. Um, I think my very first one was uh, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And I would have it prompt you, what is your A? What is your B? And then it would just spit out, this is your hypotenuse. And it had little like USB link cables, and I would make this program with like all these functions, and I would share it with everyone else in the class. And then I got to getting into the graphing side of things, and I was like, well, if I graph a circle, then I can like make pictures. And so I started making like a choose your own adventure thing, where some text would come up and you get to make a choice, and then it would take you to like pictures that I would have just graph images of. And yeah, dude, it was wild. And this was like the bottom of the basement stuff because you could go online. I downloaded Street Fighter for the TI-83, and granted, it ran at like 5 frames per second, but you could link to another calculator and fight against each other. Like, this was wild. What are you doing on the stream? We're supposed to be listening to music. We've been talking about math and programming. Better than math class? Yeah. I mean, I've always excelled at math, so I never really paid attention, and I still aced the what are they called? The quizzes, the tests. So I didn't really have anything better to do. Math made fun for non-math people. Let's get back on track though. Aced or just aced? No, like 100%, dude. I ended up with a C in the class because I never did my homework. But I had like hundreds on all the tests. And this was advanced math too. I took Algebra 2 in 11th grade, and in the final year of primary school, I took college courses, dual enrollment for calculus. So, loves not paying attention and still passing. I liked it at the time, but I know that the lack of engagement really screwed me over in the long run because I was rewarding poor actions in my youth, and I know it follows me, man. I can see it. So, can you also recommend songs? Yes, but you got to be a patron. If you're interested in that, I can get you a link to the Patreon, and you can join in over there. All of today's slots are filled. The next slot would be for the 25th, but every patron at the critic or higher tier gets one request every month. So you got ADHD without telling me you've got ADHD. Legit? Came to bite me later on when I actually had to study to understand. Yeah, dude, college hit me hard with that because I actually had to study for stuff. And I didn't know how. I didn't build those skills in high school. Like I said, it was double-edged sword. I enjoyed it. It's fun to not have to do anything and succeed, but it really rewards the wrong activities and actions and character building. And here you are wasting your talents. All right, let's get this rolling. We got Black Country New Road here for the cold country. Evil was right. An hour into this, we're halfway through the stream and we only have 2 songs done. Y'all want like a 2.5 hour stream today, right? 3 hour stream. All right, we got context for this. From No Man is an Island, possibly the best and definitely my favorite song from the new album Forever How Long. Aptly once described as a beautiful whirlwind of folk in Prague, keyboardist May Kershaw takes on lead vocals. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think that the original vocalist for this band was bad, but I always felt like they were one of the weaker elements for me personally, of just parts of the music that it didn't really gel with me too well. So having a different vocalist on this, probably going to work well for me. You're gone at 7 European no matter what. All right. Let's kick this, see what's going on. There's some Black Country New Road. Oh, this album's very different from their other stuff. Dang. 7 words, and I'm already sold on this vocalist. So we had the first song today in 3/4, and now this one. And the second song doesn't count because, well, I guess technically it was in 4/4, but it was all over the place rhythmically. This is bordering into folk, though. Pastoral. Good word for this. That short ostinato on the vocals. Expansion of that first section, Accelerando. Ooh, the triplet feel. No, not triplet. The 4/4 on the triplet. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of Joanna Newsom.
The clock ticks on my stiffened heart grows tighter. I searched from the moon and down towards the field.
You're literally typing
And
that.
the tide and the moon had their own alliance. I stood with my ghost. We tried to hold the kite, my wooden hand, my wooden heart. Now all the fights are fought and moments gone, but still they must be here, they must. But are you?
Hey, welcome. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Legends? Legends. That's my cue to walk away. How are you doing, man? The sounds on the sides. This is very Black Country New Road. Mark, you didn't really miss much. We talked a lot and did not listen to a lot of music. All right. Wild track right there. I had mentioned the Joanna Newsom thing, and I think a lot of it comes down to the way that she enunciates words, because she focuses more on the musical flow than the linguistic syllabic emphasis. And it makes some words sound really weird because the emphasis isn't where it needs to be, but it works musically and it follows the rhythmic devices found in the rest of the instruments. And that's something that Joanna Newsom does a lot. And I think it's present here. And when you mix that with the folk sound in general, you're going to get a generally Joanna Newsom-y sounds. Even a hint of Black MIDI for color referral. Black MIDI and Black Country New Road, I often think about together anyways. Aren't they both a part of the same genre or a similar scene of music or something? But yeah, I mean, that's a good parallel too. I think I enjoyed the end because it acted as a capstone to the song, but I don't think it necessarily needed to be as post-punky. Windmill Scene, there we go. As post-punky as it gets. But I think that's just generally me. Black Country New Road is a group that likes to use very modern sounds like we saw at the end of this track, and I don't think that it always works for me. And I think here it just is heightened by the contrast between the generally palatable folk adjacent first two thirds, and it makes it stand out even more so with the ending being as, I don't want to say obtuse, because it is very much rooted in theory. It's not avant-garde at all. It's just harmonically denser, focusing a little bit more on tension and slight movement into dissonance more so than the beginning. So Windmill Scene is kind of post-punk with modern RIO. Okay. I knew it was like post-punk adjacent, but I get the RIO thing too. Oh yeah, Yard Act. We've listened to them recently too. And that new one, is it Yard Act? We checked them out, I think back in December, and they're very Black Country New Road, but not Black Country New Road, seeming to be quite influenced by this band. But I really enjoyed how this song works, creating a foundation, expanding upon that, and then taking that to an extreme. I think that that general movement is great, and having the little dips between them too is just really good pacing. So I'm gonna pull this one down. I don't know if I will enjoy it, but I do need to check out this new album. They also have a newer one that has a post-hardcore kind of vibe to it. You're going from a heart here. If you remember who they are, let me know, because I think that would be pretty sick. This one right here, live on KEXP. All right, I'll pull that one down too. I don't know if that worked. That is a really weird title for the shortcut it made, but I hope that worked out. All your homies love post-hardcore. Post-hardcore is just so good. You think I'd like the new album? Okay. I'm intrigued by it. This song is giving me a similar but different vibe to them, so I'm excited about that. Y'all ready to have some fun? All the post genres are goated. I mean, honestly, for this community who loves more exploratory ideas and progressive ideas in general, post was always destined to be a strong subgenre here. because it's sort of deconstructive. It takes the sounds of a genre that's been iterated upon to safety with all of the rough edges sanded off and says, well, what if we did something different with that? What if we progressed that sound? So it actually makes a lot of sense to me. Post-grunge, not so much. Dude, you're killing me here. One of my favorite bands, well, one of my favorite albums, because I checked out their whole discography back in 2023, and a lot of it's mid, and the end of it, the last like 2 albums were complete garbage, but the first album is one of my top easily. Smile Empty Soul, post-grunge, amazing album. I think I actually like a lot of post-grunge. Even Puddle of Mud, dude, I like Puddle of Mud. Now, their latest album, not so good. But when they were at their peak, dude, that stuff was good. Translates to Fire Tale. We're going to check out some FEUERSCHWANZ. Oh, could be. Who's Cringe? Never heard of him. Got to check him out. Puddle. Dude, if you unsubscribed for every rogue comment I've made that you have not enjoyed, I think you'd be back into the negatives, where it would just flip back to being a positive subscription. Hard unsubscribe. Reacting to music is post-yapping. Oh, that's... Oh, man. All right, what's this song called? Dragostea Din Tei? I'm probably mispronouncing that terribly. Schwanz in German is a word commonly used for penis. Oh, so that's the kind of band we're looking at here. Were you 15 when they came out? Yes, dude. Puddle of Mud was definitely my formative years. So that probably is why. But I love a lot of the alternative rock stuff that was coming out in the late 90s, early 2000s during my formative years. So, yeah. I mean, also Smile Empty Soul, same time. All right, do we have context for this? From Evil, some fun time to start the year. Let's check them out, see what's going on with this group. Yeah, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm attached to a lot of objectively terrible stuff from your teens. I feel that.
Hallo, salut, sodeu, hajduk,
thank you. Happy Birthday Eve, that's a new one. I didn't know what you meant by ozone cover, but I do know this song. The random flute. Yeah, fun. And they're leaning into it. Yeah, my birthday's tomorrow. The big old 3-8. Genre Schlager? I don't know that genre. I don't need to know. I'm not drinking 38 kombucha. That's ridiculous. Not kidding. A literal genre for drunken, and that's the Schlager part. Okay. It's a fun track though. I wonder. Okay, y'all can't see it. I was trying to get something out of my closet, but I started headbanging real hard in that last section. That just started to hit. Yeah, dude, this is just a fun track. Not much to really go on here. All right. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I'll be back in a second. Also, if y'all miss seeing my face for some reason. Where this is gonna fall. Okay, this is just going on the floor right here. I'm breaking all sorts of stuff. What am I looking for in here? Oh, this isn't all of my CDs either, is it? Did I sell it? Dang, maybe I did. Well, I was going to show you all my Edema CDs. I have both the self-titled and Unstable, talking about trash music from formative years that are close to us. Objectively terrible albums, but dude, I love them. But I guess they got rid of them. I know I was... Wait. I know I did spring cleaning a couple years ago and got rid of some physical media that I just have no intention of using anymore. Maybe I got rid of them. Maybe I had a moment of clarity. The Schlager alert went off. What's the Gangnam Style joke you were in on? Moment of clarity. Oh man. But the thing is, I still have them in my streaming library, which I shifted over to Deezer. I started the trial right before the year started, and let me fix this. And I've been using them since. My Spotify subscription lapsed a couple days ago, so just no option of using that. And the videos are working fine. I found a workaround. Their API isn't as strong, but I can still get all the on-screen stuff I need. Oh, they did a Gangnam. I didn't even see that. I was not looking at the recommended videos. They did do it. But yeah, Deezer is really great. But of course, one of the first things I did was throw Edema in there because they're right at the top of alphabetical list. Because it's always nice, just, once every couple of years to throw on that terrible album you really love. Also, I am definitely going to trip over this storage bin sometime today. Y'all are going to see me go through a wall. This was just a fun track right here. I don't have much to add to it. They did a one-to-one cover, but did an instrument change. It's definitely metal, but it's still incredibly recognizable. Don't make it a GIF. I would hope someone would. That's my thing that I've always been about, is that comedy is good. Comedy heals. Comedy brings people up. And even if it's at my own expense, it's always worth sharing that comedy. And I know we don't do a lot of like funny stuff on this channel, but I have definitely told family and friends stories of both things that happened to me and me just being a complete fool and just seeing, people smile. So yeah, y'all GIF all the ridiculous stuff I do. Go for it. I don't care. Music criticism. Music criticism is serious business. What about dark humor? Dark humor's that depends on the company, you know. I think with this community, a little bit in the darker side usually works, judging by the memes channel we have over on Discord. But as always, you know, this is a public area, both, you know, the stream chat and the Discord server. So there are limits. I just, you know, it's not a hard science. I don't know where that limit is. But I usually enjoy dark humor. Yeah, dark humor, you got to know your audience. 100%. You have to have dark humor to live in Florida. You really do. You really do. It's the only way to have a bright outlook on life. You've been trying to find that limit, but have not done so yet. Honestly, I don't want to push you, but I've never really found what you've done to be really dark. Bright humor is great. I love bright humor. That's safe pretty much everywhere. Because the state is a joke. Yeah. Yeah, we can go with that. I don't have much else to add to that, though. I think it was a fine rendition, but like I mentioned, very little of that was composed by them. They just arranged it for a different set of instruments. Criticism. I like that word. I got to figure out the right way to get that to roll off the tongue. You don't get super dark on here. No. Get rid of your super dark humor outside of my edgy 20s. I feel that. I feel that. Although, okay, gonna leave it there. Next up, we have the Shins. Saint Simon. Now, this is a lot of butterflies up here. Also, another music video and another short track. Y'all definitely had a feeling for the beginning of this year. What makes me me? I don't think you've covered them, and while it's sometimes twee as fuck, it's also pretty excellent. Just ignore any Zach Braffins that might be unfairly associated. I don't know what that means. So I can ignore that very easily. Isn't what is a shin other than, you know, the body part? We all have shins, but I don't know what it means to be a shin. Never saw Scrubs? I never saw Scrubs. Ignore Brian, you love living in Florida. Yeah, I don't like the swamp. I don't like the humidity. I don't like the heat. This just generally isn't a pleasant place for me personally, but that is a subjective thing. Okay, so I was wondering, maybe shin meant something else in another context. It's okay to be wrong. All right, let's dive into this. Let's see what's going on with the Shins. Oh, so this one wasn't on the Garden State soundtrack. I feel like it's one of those films everyone talks about, but I have never seen.
After all, these implements and text designed by intellects so vexed to find evidently there's still so much that hides. And though the saints of us divine in ancient feeding lines, their sentiment is just as hard to pluck from the vine.
Objectively, you hate. So why does it sound like Weezer meets Beatles?
Step into the night, since I don't have the time nor mind to figure out the nursery rhymes that helped us out and make a sense of our lives.
Famous Manic Pixie Dream Girl film.
State of apathy releases me. I value them, but I won't cry every time one.
I don't know if that's for me. In mid-2000s self-insert film.
Down to further wind. Read my head at this pretense.
Oh, I like the bells though.
Step into the night. La, da, 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 la, da, da,
shacker.
She places them in front of you. Nothing holds a Roman candle to solemn warmth you feel inside. There's no measuring up, nothing else is
Summer vibes, yeah.
try hard not to give in. Batten down to
And you know, the warmer coloring in the music video
read my head.
absolutely captures that visually too.
Allow myself no mock defense. Step into the night. Mercy's eyes are blue when she places them in front of you. Nothing really holds a candle to solemn warmth you feel inside of you.
The ornamentation over here. We have chords, lead melody, and then this da-da-da, da-da-da. This little 3-note idea from the guitar. I like the layering on that. Yeah, definitely has a late 60s vibe. Just a very chill, relaxing song. I don't know if it's something I'd go out of my way to listen to, but I enjoyed my time with it. It's calming, it's relaxing, but it's not simple either. And I think that's what gives it its staying power, why people are still listening to it rather than it being lost to the history of music that gets released. It is warm and inviting, but also playful. And I think that's what really stands out here. It's the vocals, it's the harmonies, it's the vocal conversation that we get. It's, as I was mentioning at the end, the layered guitar work. It's easily digestible, but not simple, not boring. And I think they do a great job of leaning into that summery warmth, as someone had mentioned earlier, Helicon, where it's not just warmer chord progressions, but also the general production on this, the timbre of the instruments chosen, and even right there at the beginning, we got a little bit of glockenspiel, just that nice brightness chiming through. I do think it's interesting we didn't stick around with that too much. I often call that a cold sound. It's the metallic element of it. But it does have a brightness, a lightness to it, something very joyful. And so we start off with that, but we don't stick with it. They tend to go for more warm sounds throughout. But yeah, dude, I mean, solid track right there. Not a lot more to dive into, but I enjoy my time with it. Now, interestingly, we had 2 people request songs greater than 7 minutes and said, just stop it around the 7-minute mark because what's left isn't worth listening to for stream purposes. Somehow the randomizer put them back to back on the same day. Songs with pop sensibilities are often underrated in their technical compositional elements. I 100% agree. And what I think is hilarious here is that a lot of the undermining elements come from, at least as far as I see it, the rock and metal communities who look down on pop, but also, jazz and classical too. They're just not as mainstream as rock and metal communities are. But metal is another genre that gets overlooked because it's just loud, screamy noise. And so I thought at some point in my life that maybe the metal communities would have this empathy towards pop for being called this one simple thing when it can be at least more than that. Since when is metal mainstream? I mean, it's a genre that has a category in the Grammys. You don't get more mainstream than that. Now, as far as people listening to technical death metal, yeah, definitely not as many people listening to pop, but it's not underground, it's not avant-garde punk. So, and there's that too. I'm talking about from a very American perspective, but European countries love their metal, man. Metal is in Eurovision, so Metallica sold 200 million records. That sounds like a lot. I'm curious how that lines up. Completely changing topic here. Against like the most popular best-selling pop albums. 200 million is still crazy, but for some reason I was expecting billions given that they're Metallica and we're talking about decades of work. Death metal is dead in Gen Z. That doesn't surprise me. I don't think it's completely dead. I'd be surprised to see that there's just no Gen Z death metal guitarists or bands out there. But if you want to get into technical guitar work, tech death used to be the thing. The 90s, 2000s, I mean, that was some of the most complex. I'm assuming because, I wasn't aware of it at the time, but the more I listened to it, like that was the complex stuff. If you wanted to be a king of the kings on your guitar, you tried to emulate that. But nowadays, you got stuff like Polyphia. So I kind of see metal being pushed away by the guitarist virtuosos out there. ABBA has sold about the same numbers inexactly through Google numbers. Okay. Oh yeah, dude, Gojira at the Olympics, dude. So yeah, I guess it depends on what your idea of mainstream is, but as far as me, it's what is in the public eye. Maybe not the most popular. Metal is probably quite a bit lower than even rock, but people know what metal is. And I think that means it's broken into the mainstream, even if it isn't necessarily something that everyone listens to. Guitar players, Hendersons are guitarists, but not musicians. So people who play like is it Tim is it Tim Henderson? That doesn't sound right. You're talking about the guitarist of Polyphia though, right? They're guitarists but not musicians. That is a very hot take. A very, very I mean, I have hot takes. I don't know if I can get behind that though. And I've spoken lukewarmly about Polyphia in the past, but that I think that's even a bit extreme for me personally. I can't think of his name either. It's definitely Henson. Tim Henson? No. No, that's the Muppet guy, right? I gotta look this up now. It is Tim Henson. Tim Heidecker. So Tim Henson is the guitarist of Polyphia. So who's the Muppet guy? Jim Henson. Oh my god, their names are so close. That is ridiculous. The guy that looks like an anime character brought to life. If I was Tim, I'd take that as a compliment. Tim's got the drip. He really does. And I can see the anime character analogy, but I think it works. Their music doesn't sound like it was created to make music, but to show off skill. And see, I have that same-ish opinion. And when I checked out Polyphia back in 2020, 2021, I got a lot of hate comment on those videos because I had a hard time seeing past the musicianship. And I get that with a lot of more technical progressive musics. I really want some of that soul in there alongside the skill. But I don't think that removes the title of musician. And that's really where I was having friction with your opinion. You remind me of the Babe. Ah, man, classic. The Babe with the Power. Music produced to fit the mainstream rather than realizing a creative vision. And see, that's interesting too, because I see Polyphia as the inverse of that. They have a creative vision. It's just incredibly technical. Modern metal is like robot music. And see, I've seen that too. And I can understand that opinion. I don't know if I share it because I tend to like more technical works. And as I've mentioned in the past, I love high fidelity production. I love incredibly technical, precise playing. I love that robotic stuff, dude. I always forget the name of this band. The bassist is named Forrest, and the bass work on that Tech Death album is phenomenal. But them and Archspire, incredibly precise, near robotic performances. I'm all over that. I eat that up. That stuff's so good. First Fragment. There we go. Thank you. But I can totally understand how some people might find that too clean, in the same way that I find Haken's production to be too clinical. Oh, you were referring to pop. I mean, yeah. But not all pop music is mainstream either. I mean, we got dream pop, we got bedroom pop. We have a lot of stuff that isn't, Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga. I'm too old to know who's popular these days. Sabrina Carpenter. Although I honestly think Sabrina Carpenter's music kind of airs away from that total mainstream sound. There is a vision for hers. But yeah, I think there can be music that's made just to fit the most common, lowest common denominator, try to cast that widest net. Did I listen to First Fragment? I've heard a few tracks. I have not listened to the whole album. Why is mainstream bad? Mainstream isn't bad, but mainstream typically means that it's cast a very wide net. It's palatable to a lot of people, but it shaves off a lot of rough edges to get there. I love pop music. I love popular pop music, but if it comes to stuff that is spiritually enriching, which is stupid to say, but the music that just hits you, and sticks with you, changes you, I don't know that a lot of pop would do that. Not for me, anyways, not the mainstream stuff. Blandness is the enemy. I think you can create art with blandness, but you've got to be aiming for that. And when it comes to albums where, yes, you have a pop icon, but then you have 15 producers writing every song, and then record label heads trying to monitor and guess how popular and how much money it'll bring in, and you really bring this element in from the capitalistic side, I think you start to compromise the vision for the money. And I'm not saying that every popular artist does that, but there's some work that feels like it's balancing pleasing an audience and making art. And some music that's just about pleasing the audience, just about making money. There's certainly those artists out there. But I think that's true everywhere. I think even in rock, you can find bands who are just trying to make money, who find a popular sound and run with it. That's not something that's just about pop. Plenty of terrible pop in the 90s. There's plenty of terrible pop everywhere. Pop doesn't take risks. I don't think that's totally true. Again, it's one of those wide blanket comments. But I do think pop, being the most popular genre, tends to take less risks because there is more money involved in that. All right. Let's keep this rolling because we got a lot of music to get to. This was one of those 7-minute tracks I was talking about. They want to make money. That's wrong. Oh yeah, and yeah. I think in the long run, though, everyone wants to make money. Just some people are less compromising on their vision for that. Yeah. And sometimes you don't have a choice either. Pop stars who work with record labels sometimes don't get a choice in having their vision not be compromised. Maybe your Taylor Swifts, who are guaranteed to bring in a large audience no matter what they throw out, they're allowed to have a little bit more leniency because of their genius. But I don't think every pop star is in that area, and I do think that producers and record labels have more hands in what ends up on albums than most musicians would want. And even, pop stars, I don't think you get to being one of the best pop stars ever, having a fantastic voice and performing on these long, arduous tours and not enjoy music, which kind of makes some of that even sadder, at least from my perspective, that there is so much compromise with their work. Everything is ghostwritten, to my knowledge, in the pop stream. Mainstream, well, maybe that's what you mean by pop stream is mainstream pop, but there's a lot of pop that isn't ghostwritten. And I don't have a problem with ghostwriting either. I mean, a lot of classical music is one guy writing the music and a bunch of other people playing it. So having full creative control is a luxury, 100%. And when you get to that point, you kind of have to lose some of the money element too. So yes, in the 90s, there was one Swedish guy and 2 Americans who were basically, it was between the 3 of them that like 90% of the top 100 was them. Elton John has a ghostwriter. Is he bad? Nah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think ghostwriters are bad. But I do know that it has a negative connotation, particularly in rock and metal, because of the authenticity of this is our work, we wrote it, we're playing it. And I think this being a generally rock-oriented group and metal-oriented I think the idea of having a ghostwriter probably rubs people a little worse than other communities. Plenty of amazing singers can't write yeah, I mean, it's all different skills. Writing music, playing music, singing, writing lyrics, producing music, mixing music, it's all, to do all of it, you're basically a Swiss Army knife of music. And we see a lot of that with bedroom producers, one-man bands and stuff like that. But it is incredibly difficult and rare to see someone do that at such a high level and to be popular for it. It's much easier to work with a team and even better as far as stress and mental health and stuff like that. So yeah, I personally don't have a problem with it, but I know some people do. All right, this next track, I've been curious about this because of the title. Please, Tokio. Please, this is Tokio. But it's not, I mean, what is Tokio? It's spelled with an I, so I don't know what that is. Time to bring the energy up? I don't know what kind of music this is. Difference between pop and not pop is much smaller than some people think. Yeah. Doesn't take a motor interest to drive a common Toyota, like the mainstream listener doesn't have a music interest. That's only natural. That's actually, yeah. Yeah, and I don't think it's bad that some people just stop at what they find interesting either. Just stopping at that pop music, or people who only listen to radio rock or only rock from the 90s. Personally, I enjoy expanding my horizons, and I think that's the best way to go about it, but I'm just some dude. What do I know? Maybe the best thing is just to lock in with a sound and delve into it. Is there a Discord? Yes, there is. I still have the link tree pulled up. This is great. Here's the link for that. Past me actually helping out future me? What kind of world is this? All right, let's see. We got context on this from Don Caballero. Caballero. I don't know how to pronounce the double L. I don't know what language we're working with here. This one comes out as from Greg. In short, from 1995, math rock pioneers in their prime. This is still one of my all-time favorite drum performances. This band was essentially made by Damon Che to show off, probably mispronounced that last name too, to show off as the leader, while the guitar and bass hold down dissonant atonal metronome riffs. The full runtime's over 11 minutes, but the actual song is truly just the first 7 minutes, and I always skip at that point because it's just feedback after that with a few cymbal strikes. All right, 7 minutes of this. Oh, so it is Spanish, so we'll go with the Y sounds. So, Caballero. Spanish, so you'd pronounce the L's as an H? No, that doesn't sound right. You're just some dude that knows a lot. I know a lot about a specific thing, yeah. Oh, in German. Okay, yeah, Spanish, the double L is the yus sound. I didn't know that German also had a double L, though. I'm going to try to keep that in mind. Euro-Spanish versus Mexican Spanish is quite different. Yeah, Latin American Spanish is a bit different than English Spanish. Europe Spanish, that's what I meant to say. 7-minute cap on music, 0-minute cap on preamble. We're not going to do languages for 10 minutes, but dang, dude, I'd love to. It's just, learning. I love to learn. I love to converse. I love the trading of knowledge, dude. That's a lot of what drives this channel, The most ADH stream in a while. All right, let's kick this off, see what's going on. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, atonal math rock. So this stream has mostly been lighthearted or rhythmically complex, without much in between. One note. This guitar is playing around. We got game streams during the week, language streams on Saturdays, music streams on Sundays. I wondered why you brought up Schism, but you're talking about the Tool song. It didn't quite grab me as Schism, but it's been a long time since I heard that song too. So that last section was 11. rhythmically frictional, harmonically tense. This is a song that really pushes against normal sounds. I do like this tapped idea just as a metronome to keep some sort of pulse that the drummer refuses to. This is not as noisy as noisecore. I can't even imagine. Yeah, this is more traditional math rock. It's still veering into some more experimental ideas, but I think some people are gonna enjoy this section a bit more than the rest. Really chilled out. The drummer's keeping up the energy just with the sounds, but so that's the drone at the end. All right. That's one of those things that you just gotta absorb, let it be, allow it to wash over you. It's not for me. That's for sure. There's a lot of skill on display with the drums in particular. The guitars on the side were just mostly bouncing around between 2 and 3 notes, creating that dissonant texture. I didn't really hear a lot of difficult lines from them. They were really, as the commenter had stated, creating the metronome, giving us some sort of semblance of a beat, a rhythm, something we can fall back on while the drummer goes bonkers, but also focusing on microtonality in there. So what's going on here? Why'd that get blocked? I will never understand Twitch. It's so weird. What was I saying there? Oh yeah, very texture based, very rhythmic based, and just kind of being the foundation for the drums to do what they're doing, which was crazy. Unfortunately, past the appreciation I have for the craft that went into this, it just kind of sounds like a lot of noise to me. I don't really get overarching themes or connectivity, or it feels like a warm-up session, honestly. I know I've mentioned that about other avant-garde works in the past, but it's just lacking structure really of any kind. There's not really much harmonic structure, no melodic structure, and it's just a song that feels linear. It continues to exist until it doesn't. The first few minutes are a lot more structured. Interesting. I didn't really catch that. I did notice, though, around minute 5 or so, we kind of chilled out quite a bit and found structure. We found something that felt more solid. Not what you would call noise. I think for me, it was mostly the guitars and their rhythms not really working well to support the drum rhythms, particularly the accent patterns. And that made it feel cluttered, which is probably why I used the term noisy there. It might just be something that requires a bit more time. Some of y'all are picking up some structure there and cohesion that I didn't, but I'm also seeing a pattern where most people saying that generally listen to noisier, more chaotic music than I do. So it might be that. The atonality is definitely there too. And atonal can kind of be that for me, but to me, it's a lot of the dissonance of the tones chosen, more so than any sort of lack of harmonic identity that makes it sound noisy for me. But I did enjoy when it chilled out a little bit. We found a beat, we found a groove, we found an atmosphere that was a little less noisy for a moment. I enjoyed that little pocket of a more traditional math rock sound. Someone had mentioned, though, that this is pretty early. 1995 is what this says. And they had mentioned something about the title of this, no, the artist coming out at the beginning of math rock, probably before it even had that title. And coming out along the same time as Slint with Spiderland. So definitely some formative sounds here, which, as usual with formative innovation, you're going to find some rough edges on them. And I think that's what, at least for me, is what I'm getting out of this. Really early stuff that's pretty cool, but I'd rather see a little bit more iteration done and some sanding down to find something I would find enjoyable out of this. We still have 5 songs left. It's going to be a long stream. Oh. So this was the Battles drummer and the guitarist drummer? That's kind of crazy. Oh, okay, not the drummer. The guitarist. Still, though. I mean, that makes a little bit of sense, though. I can hear some battles in here. Definitely tightened up a little bit, but still like the core noisier elements. All right. Next up, we have some Collider. Song's called Inept. Comes from Off by 50. Not sure how to describe this one, so I won't say much here. The track's 722, but the last minute is ambientish noise, so it can be stopped short if needed. Let's dive in, see what they're bringing to the table. I don't think I know Tomahawk. A lot of pitch variation. Mike Patton, that's all I needed to know. It's interesting though, it's right on the cusp of something I would call listenable, but it just veers into a noisy realm. There should be a pinned chat. I say should be, but I think it's gone. There we go. Thank you, Helicon. I'm taking the dual vocals on this too. It's a massive sound there from both the bass and the guitar. Just out of nowhere, we'll return to the lighter energy of the intro. I didn't hear that, but it might have been there. We got some 80s metal guitars. Random Rush. With their hundreds of opportunities. There are very few instances where I get to talk about sonic collage, but this really is a little bit of a lot of different styles. It is, yeah. And there are really cool guitar licks. There are cool bass licks. The vocal harmonies are cool. I love the 3-layered vocals. I think I agree with that though. It is just a little too extra for me. But it works, and I can't deny that. love those bass licks, man. Absolutely. There's a lot going on here, and it's going to be something where you pick up something new every repeat listen. And it randomly turns into phone call hold music? What in the world? I'm not the audience for this. You like the hold music? It wasn't bad. I don't know if it's something I'd go out of my way to listen to, but it's really weird how perfectly it captures that lo-fi sound of listening to whatever high quality audio they're piping through a phone. And it has that perfect kind of muffled sound to it, and also being light and generally, what's that word? Inoffensive. There's a government agency you call kind of regularly, and they have jazz funk music as their hold music. That is kind of cool. Yeah. Mars Volta, I think, not even just for the ending, is a good description for all of this. It's incredibly busy, overcomposed, in a way that ends up somehow being cohesive despite the noise and the energy and the chaotic elements. Yeah, you're not the only one to bring up Deerhoof on that, so... And, well, okay. Are you bringing everybody's together, or did you give all those comparisons throughout that song? Because yeah, Deerhoof, Sonic Youth, Psychedelic Corn Crumpets, and My Bloody Valentine. There we go. I'm figuring this out. All right, Evil, you have a good rest of your day. We'll have early access out in a few hours, and of course the rest of this VOD too, if you're interested in any of that later. It's a pretty cool track. Too bad it looped too early. I do kind of think it should have been shorter. There's that solid instrumental part starting about 5 minutes in that doesn't do anything. At least not for me. It just kind of meanders. It is. And maybe that's the point too. This is a rather chaotic song, and just allowing it to exist kind of works. You don't need to add any more. It's already fairly dense as it is. Oh, okay. You just put a little cool song to all that. Nice little bit of lyrics there. But I can see why people would like it. I can see this being up a lot of people's alleys. And I still have to give credit where credit's due, though. It works. It works way better than it should. And I guess that's the Mike Patton charm right there. I don't know. We still have 4 tracks left. I don't know if we're going to get to all 4. My voice is starting to give out a little bit. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I'm going to try, though. We're going to see how far we can get with this. Whatever we don't do today, I'll just tack to the beginning of next week's, and I think we only have 12 that day anyways, so if I add another 1 or 2, it won't be that bad, as long as I can keep on track next week. You're counting 5? We got Excide, Gravenhurst, Maddie, and Autumn for Crippled Children. What a band name. I think we only have 4 left. Allergies? I don't think it's allergies. I think I've just been talking too much. I didn't have time to listen to music to let my voice rest. I just talked for like 40 minutes at the start of this stream. I think it's getting to me. Led Zeppelin's supposed to be today? Let me double check that. Let's see. Oh, yeah. How did I miss that? Led Zeppelin's supposed to be after Gravenhurst. Okay. Yeah, we have 5 left. I'm going to have to update that somewhere. I don't know how I missed that. Let's move on, though. I'll get that fixed up in a second. 2 more hours. Allergic to talking too much. I sometimes feel I am. Oh, you know, the other thing that might be doing this too is I had a party yesterday, birthday party for a few people. We have 3 birthdays this week in the family. And then Friday, I did the album review, which ended up being like 7 hours of work. It's a 4-hour album thing. You can check that out. It released yesterday. So I've been doing a lot of talking this weekend that I don't normally. It fit them in if we just listen at double speed. Yeah, dude, I always talked about, wanting to do a 24-hour stream as like a stunt just to bring in viewership. I don't know how I could do it, man. 2-3 hours in, I'm getting tired. My voice, tea and honey. That's okay. I have tea and I have honey. I have like 20 teas. So I might have to do that after this and maybe do that to prepare for future streams. Or whiskey. I'm not a whiskey guy. All right, Excide, Christopher, no comment. Let's just dive straight into this. See what's going on. Is there a 24-hour Flaming Lips song? That's ridiculous. A 24-hour song reaction sounds crazy. Months ago. Yeah, dude, this is great. This is right up my alley. Also, does the drummer have a lollipop? That is so cool. If it is a cigarette, the filter is in his mouth, which is crazy. absolutely is iterative right here. I was trying to figure that out too. It feels familiar to me, but I can't place the guitar tone in particular. Yeah, let's pull that down. Yeah, this is only a couple of months new. Did somebody post this in the new music channel? I wonder how I missed this, given how much I enjoyed it. But it's possible it just never came across my radar. Soundgarden. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Good call. Little too cute, but well executed. Yeah, I mean, this is iterative stuff right here. It has a very 2000s post-grunge kind of sound, a little bit of alt rock thrown in there. The fade out. I enjoyed it though, and it's well done. It's a nice retro sound that feels very comfortable for me. Talking about formative years, this is exactly what I grew up on, but with a modern twist to it. And someone else had pointed it out, it's a bit more variable than I would expect for this type of sound too. The second verse brings in some different ideas to it. The bridge brought about an entire new concept altogether with that very low energy vibe, just kind of this low rumble, and then this distant faded guitar tone. And it just massively shifted things up rather than just building a new riff and drum part on top of a similar atmosphere. Yeah, dude, the riff extensions too. You missed a pretty solid post-grunge alternative rock track that came out just a couple of months ago as a nice throwback to the 90s. If that sounds good to you, definitely... Why am I still in the corner? Definitely check out Excide. Because that was solid. I was rocking out. Absolutely my cup of tea right there. Also, I double checked about the Led Zeppelin thing, and yeah, that's in all of my stuff. I was set up to listen to it. I just never got the tab open. I don't know how that slipped through my fingers. We reviewed a 24-hour song and Brian's voice is shot as a result. I didn't know there was a 24-hour song though. Like, I'm more interested in that than the 24-hour stream. Particularly because streams are less controlled, things can go wrong. If something goes wrong in a 24-hour listen, I just do a little bit of editing magic before I release it. It feels, the stakes are a little lower than that. So I'm kind of interested in doing that as a stunt reaction. Released it in a crystal skull? Was there aliens? Was there a refrigerator to hide in? All right. Flaming Lips 24-hour song. I don't know when I'm going to get to that. I think it's going to be this year, though. I need more of these, I guess what we can call them, like centerpiece reactions. Just ones that I know are going to generate buzz. I'm still high on that Will Wood reaction, dude. That thing skyrocketed to like the top 7% reactions ever within a week. And honestly, I think it saved my channel because usually I have a bit of a slump coming back in January as no videos for 2 weeks kind of kills the analytics or something. I don't know. I don't really pay too much about it, but I do know January is usually a bit slower for me. And that didn't happen. And I think a lot of that's because Will Wood kept the channel in the algorithm. So, yeah. stunt in the face cam. Could you imagine? I don't even know what kind of stunt I could do. I mean, I got an electric scooter. I could probably get hurt real bad on that. I don't know about any cool stunts. The song's on the Internet Archive. Good to know. Oh, it was a gummy skull? A crystal gummy skull? Long songs would probably drive you insane. I think that's the point of something like that. You know? Adam Neely playing the lick for 24 hours. I don't think that did anything good for his mental psyche. But that was one of the things that really elevated his channel. So lots of these smaller channels made it big on like some stupid stunt thing. Oh, stunt in a... Oh, yeah, stunned would be... T sometimes is used for past tense, but in that case, it's an ED. What if an album is just one big song? We've done those before. We just did one in December, I think. It was like a 30 or 40-minute song or something like that. Basically a whole album. But it was for a song request. Yeah, I think it was Phantom Moss, actually. What a weird one that was. We've also checked out Thornton's Special Defects or something. We checked out a full track album on there. That was a couple of years back, though. And I don't think I got his name right either. But yeah, we've done that a few times. In fact, I think most themes, there's always at least one person who recommends a song that is pretty much an album, or at least half of an album. Yeah, Bellwitch made it through one time. That was like 78 minutes. The Special Defects album is multiple tracks, but that's multiple movements of one song, or at least that's how I interpreted it, given that it never stops. It just keeps going. So, all right, Gravenhurst. I turn my face to the forest floor. If that's not a doom metal sound and title, I don't know what is. Yeah, see? Led Zeppelin. I had everything set up. I just never had the tab pulled up. Weird. All right, we got context for this from John. Heard this 20-plus-year-old track for the first time a few days ago, and it was absolutely arresting. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Well, not doom metal, but definitely a bit on the darker side. Now that you mention it, yeah. Getting Tristram vibes. Hate the name of that town. Although I guess that's Diablo 1, not 2. Yeah, a bit of that Western vibe I can see coming in with Red Dead.
He's a muttering fuckhead.
A little bit of anger there. Dude, if there was a Tristram core, I would listen to it because I love the vibe of that song. I gotta get some lyrics for this. Drake. Yeah, good call. You know, it's really interesting too. Whenever the vocals are singing, I get a feeling of positivity. I think it's the brightness of the voice of the vocals compared to the darkness of the guitar. No, the melody too alters the chords. When it's just instruments, I get a feeling of hopelessness. When the vocals come in, we get the lead melody, it elevates it, bringing out this positivity within that darkness. Mark, you've enjoyed everything today? That's awesome. Yeah, psych folk, I can see that too. Wait, is that it? Dang. Foreboding? Okay. Yeah, I can catch that vibe too. Let's see. Did you mean here? Yeah, folk horror. I still think I hear just a little bit too much positivity in the vocals, particularly when they do that uplift. And to me, that kind of brings out a bit of brightness or beauty within it. But generally, this song feels hopeless and foreboding. Something big and dangerous is on the horizon. And maybe there's a small chance we can avert it, but probably not. And that's kind of the general vibe I got on this. I never got a chance to read the lyrics though. But yeah, I'm checking out Gravenhurst, man. I was expecting doom metal, but I'm glad it wasn't because this was solid. And it's a bit on the simpler side too. All the instrumentation is primarily there to craft the atmosphere. And I love the transformative elements of the melody and how they explore new chord progressions towards the ends of each melodic line in order to further transform the song. Shots on doom metal. Y'all know I love doom metal. It's my favorite extreme metal, but it's still extreme metal at the end of the day. Crosby has a song with Snarky Puppy. Is it good? Because, you know, Snarky Puppy's great. They elevate everyone they're with. But sometimes you can get two big names together and they kind of don't gel well together. So I'd love to know if that was a good song they did together. You're only a stone's throw from all the violence you buried years ago. Yeah, dude. Since when is doom extreme metal? To me, extreme metal encompasses doom, death, and blackened. And it's usually because they have incredibly heavy, not dissonant, can be dissonant, distorted guitars, heavy drumming, and frequently harsh vocals. Sort of pushes all the extremities. Snarky Puppy videos they've been releasing? I haven't. They've been doing more. I guess I don't have them subscribed. I'm pretty sure you meant thrash, but I like how trash is in there too. Thrash is definitely extreme. Big orchestra thing. Oh, here's a thing. Is there any collaboration between Snarky Puppy and why did I blank out on their name right when I needed it? The Hirsch Effect? because that would be phenomenal. I know it seems like it probably wouldn't work, but I hear it in my head. I have a vision of gorgeousness, of beauty, sonic perfection. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the more you listen to any sort of music, it becomes less of what it is, more normalized, I suppose, to the listener. But to me, heavy metal is kind of the baseline metal, and when you go above that, you start hitting more extreme sounds. 4 drummers in those Snarky Puppy videos? Dang. Peak big band. Maybe I'll do a reaction to them this week. One of their new ones on Friday. I got a lot of notes over here. Snarky Puppy on Friday. I got to make sure I don't have anything else scheduled. That might be what I do, though. All right. Yeah, though. Everything about this was great. Now, this is, Led Zeppelin's next. I got to do a quick audio check on this, but I think I found this one right here. It's a remaster Fine Mark. It's been almost 4 years since the last Led Zeppelin reaction, but this is very different to the prior. Additionally, this precedes my special. Yeah, we got a special selection coming up in 2 weeks, I think. All right, this one's fine. Four years is great. Haven't we had Led Zeppelin on stream before? Oh, you know what? No. I'm thinking of Iron Maiden. I'm not musically confusing them. I'm getting their names confused. I have a very clear differentiation between these two bands musically. All right, that looks good. Got the old 2000s look with the big chonky headphones around the neck. This is a little more comfortable. The other one was like cutting into my neck a little bit. All right. Let's dive into this. Actually, let's check some comments. From Mark, inside of 7 minutes, and since I recommended Achilles' Last Stand already for special selection, it will provide some good contrast. It's a better song as standalone, IMO, and would have considered doing them the other way around, time permitting. Perhaps Achilles will work better as a full react, though. Okay. Let's dive into this then. More like a Mark. 10 years gone, Led Zeppelin. Whoops. Wrong window. I remember we checked out When the Levee Breaks. Was that Led Zeppelin? It's interesting because this is clearly rock, but I think it has tiniest hint of like folk underneath it. Yeah, Mark, looks like the 22nd is when we're going to get to Achilles' Last Stand. So 2 weeks. Oh yeah, and Black Dog. Their ballads are better than their bombastic tracks. I'm a sucker for a good ballad anyways, and they like to do bluesy ideas, so they've got me there. Hey, R, I take music requests on Patreon.
Maybe down in birds of prey. Kinda makes me feel sometimes I didn't have to go. But as an eagle leaves the nest, got so far to go.
There's the link. Anything critic tier or higher, you can send me a song. I'm out of slots for today, but there's still slots open for the 25th of this month.
In the midst, I think of you.
Yeah, if we have slots open. Oh, I love their melodic writing. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, nice way to bring this back. Not just lose yourself in the music, it's time to lose yourself in the moments.
Surprise to me. Never thought I'd see your face.
Love that bass tone too. The original have it that prominent, or is that something this person did for the remaster? Dude, I love how catchy this is without being too much of an earworm. Like, it isn't overly designed to be a hook, it's just really well written. I was about to say they're losing me a bit with all this ad-lib stuff. And that's about the time it started fading it out. So I think they felt that too. But I loved the conversational style between the guitar and the vocals there. So I really wanted to like what they were doing there at the end a bit more. Just it was lacking the directionality that they've had throughout most of this track. It kind of just became a part to meander, which if the plan was to fade out, this is a good way to do that. Because if they had written something that really grabbed me and then faded that out, you know I would have complained about it. Find it a touch self-indulgent. I can kind of see that, but particularly just in, I think, the general focused vibe where they really lean into this sound. But even at that point, I think there's enough variety in here to elevate most of it. And I love this mix of, I don't know what you would call this. To me, this is sort of like a classic rock sound. I don't know if that's the proper genre for it. It is chill. It is relaxing. But I wonder how much of that is also our acclimation to heavier sounds. I wonder how this was felt back in the day. Because I think with the drumming as big as it is, and with the guitar tone as maybe as gnarly as it was for the time. I mean, this is a tense, distorted tone here. I wonder if this wasn't as relaxing when it came out. I don't know. It's one of those things I can't have a grasp at. I wasn't alive in 75 to know this, what the general reaction of these sounds were. I find it to be relaxing though. Some granny had a heart attack when they heard this. Oh, geez. There's that dark humor here. I don't know if you were around earlier, but a couple hours ago, someone was asking about dark humor in the community. That's it right there. There were heavier songs years before this. Okay. But were they like mainstream? Because I kind of get the image that Led Zeppelin was very well known. Yeah, there we go. There's your answer. That doesn't cross a line, but it's definitely a bit on the darker side. Oh, okay. I can get behind Power Ballad for this. Yeah. It is a bit on the heavier side, but definitely, I mean, it's bluesy. It's a bit slower. It's heavier. It's got weight to it. And it is, I think when you look at an energy level, not necessarily volume, it is a bit on the lower energy side, even with the vocalist belting out a couple of moments and the guitar kind of wailing in a couple of places. It's a bit of a lower energy song to me. But what I was saying earlier is I love this classic rock sound with that blues in there. And I say that particularly because it doesn't feel like blues rock to me for some reason. I think it's because the blues is more of a spice thrown in rather than the focus of blues music with distorted guitar in it. All right, signups, have a good rest of your day. We'll have videos up soonish. I have some stuff to do right after the stream, so it won't be as soon as usual, but yeah, by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC, I should have all the stuff available, VODs and early access and stuff like that. Yeah, and see, the other Zeppelin tracks we've listened to, I think I would describe them more in the blues rock realm. This just feels like bluesy rock. And I know that sounds like semantics, but to me, there's a distinct difference there. But I love this mix here. I mean, I'm just a sucker for blues anyways. I love the power of this track, of trying to convey a sense of, I don't know, loneliness, maybe a little bit of desperation. I don't know what the lyrics are about, but that's what I'm getting out of the music. There's a pain here that is felt from the first chord. Yeah, 3/4 rock, 1/4 blues. I can go with that. Maddie Ashman is a microtonal. I thought I recognized Maddie Ashman as a name. And I think some videos were shared in the Discord server a while back because when I was doing the audio testing earlier, I recognized her face, you know. And I couldn't place it though. But I think you're right. I think we were talking about microtones somewhere, and someone sent that video, or not the one we're going to listen to, but another track from her. So this will be interesting returning to this, because I remember being impressed, but also not really being my cup of tea. The track is about the singer's girlfriend in the past, making him decide between her and his dream. Doesn't sound like a future girlfriend to me. That's brutal. Oh, jeez. It might have been you, Mark. It might have been. It might have also been a conversation we were having. It might not have been in the full Discord too. I don't remember. But I do remember this person. But I couldn't remember what sound. I mean, they have an acoustic guitar in the thumbnail. So that part, I was like, yeah, someone singing on it with an. It was private message. Okay. Yeah, so this would be cool to get back to her work. This Zeppelin track, though, I enjoyed it. I don't know how to feel about Achilles coming up next, with you saying that would probably have been better for live stream and this better for the full reaction, but it's going to be Zeppelin. I think we're still going to have a good conversation about it, and I'll have a good analysis for it. Because at the end of the day, Zeppelin does what they do very well. You don't get to be one of the greats like Zeppelin did and then not, make mediocre music. Not in the world of rock, anyways. Not in the world of classic rock, anyways. Yeah, I think that's good enough for me. It'll be different, though. All right, I'm looking forward to that. 2 weeks. Next Thursday is when we're going to check out more Zeppelin on the channel. Yeah, dude, a track record of 98%, that's just crazy. Just hit after hit after hit. All right, we got 2 left. Both of these are on the shorter side, I believe. A 3-hour stream today. I'd like to say y'all made this happen, and yeah, definitely in part, but I also wouldn't shut up. We had a real slow start to getting through our list at the beginning. But I hope you've enjoyed yourselves as well as I have. It's always good just to have cool conversations. All right. Dang, not a Zeppelin fan. All right, Maddie Ashman with the track Toffee, Acoustic. A person from Germany sent this. Time to ease up on the black metal. We had 2 people today who mostly send metal and have deviated from that. I think Tiger Charm is the other one to kick off the day. Time to ease up on the black metal. Maddie Ashman's been mentioned on a recent live stream, but I don't think any of her songs ever got a reaction, and we need to change that. From her YouTube bio, she's an avant pop artist, producer, and composer with a love for exploring microtonal music in uncanny, illusory, yet accessible ways. I'm yet again choosing an acoustic version of a non-acoustic original. A person from Germany was the one back in December who sent that acoustic version of a black metal track that I don't think y'all were real receptive to on the whole, but I really enjoyed. So this will be interesting. It's always a good time. I'm glad y'all have fun with this, because I certainly do. As I always say at whenever I promote the stream, is good company, good conversation, and good tunes. And today has certainly been all 3. Did you listen to black metal with no distortion? I didn't. Did y'all send me a link to something specific? I made a note for myself right now, but I'm bound to just find the wrong thing. I mean, it's surf rock. But if you have a specific song, a specific showcase of this, throw it in the Discord. I'm a lot more likely to check it out if it's a notification in Discord for me than to find it on my own. Which is why pulling down these tracks works so well for me, because it gives me a nice list of things to look at rather than just some random notes I've put on my desk. All right, Mark. Band practice. Probably hush hush, but are you all working on a new album? Or are you practicing to play some of the stuff from your recent one? All right, let's kick off some Maddie Ashman here. Penultimate track today. See what's going on with some microtonal acoustic. Very cool. Very cool. Live stream is a high point you can count on. I'd like to take credit for it, but I think y'all do a lot of the heavy lifting here. The conversation, the context, the jokes. Beautiful vocals right here.
Fills me up, 'cause I feel like I'm a stranger.
Oh, good call. Music video time. We need a response, and a nice man like you is well for it to work. I just get to react to stuff, though. I feel like that's the easy job. At least in the context of having to come up with fun things. The guitar. Dude, those chords. Another Joanna Newsom sound-alike, though.
I mourn the walls, but hate to fall. And yes, I confess that I ran again last night. Back to what I know, and it felt so good until it hurt. I'd still let it go.
I don't really hear a lot of microtonality, though.
Euphoric vex, I'm so impressed by these tears.
They really are. Her vocals are ridiculous.
Overwhelming good, I've never felt so alive. Who am I? I don't feel so insanely sweet. I want you, need you, take me, feed me, sugar-coated words. I take them all and smile. I take them all.
I heard a very little microtonality at the beginning. Okay, so we have the glissando then. Yeah, lovely track though. Not microtonal. I heard a little bit of it, I thought. The first time the strings came in, it sounded like the strings were in 12 tone while the guitar was microtonal. That thumbnail of me for cardiacs. Oh my gosh. Oh man, that scared me for a second. My hair was so big back then too. But yeah, I heard a little bit of microtonality there, or at least I thought I did, but it was subtle, not in a distracting way. Sort of the way that Zaya Eros tends to use microtonality in positive ways. It's so easy to divide up a scale into an octave, to divide an octave into so many small pieces that it really becomes difficult for them to work well together in traditionally consonant ways. And you really have to train your ear to find the beauty within these new intervals. Maybe Maddie is using some intervals here that are fairly close to 12-tone equal temperament, but not. But it's also likely that this track just isn't microtonal and that most of her work is too. Brian and his metal face. Chris Cornell vibes. For real though, that first time I heard Cardiacs, I had no idea what to make of it. That was a bonkers experience. You guys really, I think, had some of the best reaction content back in this channel's infancy when I was exposed to nothing, just like radio rock and some of the more palatable, popular metal stuff. This track has been a real big learning experience for me. And as I become more acquainted, less stuff surprises me. And another guilty as charged from Pear. But I like the emotional vibes in this. I like the chord progressions, while a bit more iterative, I think do a great job of expressing this almost wistfulness. There's a light beauty that comes from that, which I think is pretty interesting, that it's a feeling to me of wanting something and then getting it and being on cloud nine. That's what this feels like to me. And I think even that analogy of being on cloud nine, of being on a cloud, this ethereal vibe, being so high up, and I think that matches her vocals really well. I think Vale had mentioned her vocal style. She makes it sound so effortless, just enough breath support to get these really high notes, but not enough to have a fully defined sound to it. It's just very light, very effortless, and yet it's so high pitched. It is phenomenal. The amount of control on display on the vocals. Honestly, I found the vocal work a lot more interesting than the composition, which was solid and had some very cool chordal movements to it, but for the most part resided in something more palatable and standard. Although those classical chord progressions in the middle of the song absolutely had me, and I kind of wish we had more of that in there. But this is an acoustic version, and it makes me interested in checking out the full version, see what's going on there. The mini vibratos, yeah, dude. There's just, I don't know. Definitely, I was gonna say definitely not self-taught, but maybe so. I don't know. People amaze me where they come to a point of, years of academic training, but they've done it themselves. Some people are just really in tune with whatever they're learning, whether it be an instrument or their voice or writing of some sort. Autodidactic people are impressive, or I should say can be impressive. Do you think that's a self-taught style? You don't think that she's adapting some things she's learned in a more traditional learning situation? You envy the way some people can use their voice? 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I really hope she can make it. How big's her channel? 10,000 subscribers, still very small. She has a Bandcamp. Oh, this is for the acoustic version. Well, okay. Good amount of sales too. Yeah, definitely wish her the best, and I hope to see that she continues on this path. Time for me to sing? Y'all don't want to hear me sing. I can sing well enough that you can understand what I'm doing. I can hum melodies, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, that's this melody from this song. And it's good enough, I'd say, for rock as far as pitch, but I could never make it as where in a style of music where pitch is really necessary. Although I do sing on some of my songs. I don't know if y'all know that. Yeah, just a couple of tracks here and there. I don't think they're on the YouTube channel, though. My music's scattered. One of the things I want to do this year is condense it down to a single place. Yeah, I spoke over the track. That's probably Getting Better, which is the highlighted song on my channel. But I've done proper singing. I've done harshes too. So, 92,000 on Spotify. That's good. Yeah, definitely getting into there. She's into alternate and microtonal tuning. And see, this might have been an alternate tuning too, something close to 12 tone, but actually, sorry, something within 12 tone, but an alternate tune guitar to make some stuff easier. Yeah. I'm excited about that. I'd love to see new artists popping up doing cool things. And doing cool things and making it look easy. I think that's the best part. And that's honestly, to bring this back to Polyphia, that's the thing I love most about them. Their music doesn't always click with me, but dude, they're doing really cool stuff and they're going to inspire people who will continue to do cool stuff. And eventually something's probably going to click with me. So it's a win-win anyways. Like drop tuning for power chords. Yeah. Yeah. On classical guitar or acoustic guitar, there's a few different ways of using alternate tunings in order to make specific runs or chords easier to play to match the kind of style or vibe that you're wanting to play. So yeah, drop tuning is a type that's used in metal, and it makes power chords a lot easier. Yep. Panda, hi, how are you? We got one more song today. You came in just in time to see the end of this. The Youth Worship Explosion, not going to be in here to take a couple of jabs in the outro for whatever I did wrong today. Wow. We're going to have a peaceful exit to today's stream. Nah, you have a good day, Youth Worship Explosion, and we'll catch you next time. When the link comes up, I'll be pinging it over to her. Michaela Bates was very grateful for your analysis and observations. Cool. All right. This band title, An Autumn for Crippled Children. Just how do you come up with something like that? Sepia Mountains for her Lament is honestly a much cooler title than the band. Comes from Kevin with no context. I like whatever flower this is, the nice light pink tone to it all with the white background, but I'm still thinking death metal or deathcore based off of the band name. I haven't seen the producers, either version. I know about it. I should watch it. I just haven't. And I feel bad saying that because it's excellent. Oh, it's an orchid. Okay. I don't know anything about flowers. I'm lucky I know what a rose is. Let's kick this. Wrap up today. See how we're going to end it. That is not death metal. So don't celebrate too soon. But even within like piano soft intros to metal albums, this didn't feel right. Okay. I am getting like a noisy post-punk thing. Okay, those toms actually go kind of hard. So, Black Days, right? I'm 50-50 on if I want clean vocals here or the black metal vocals to come back. Or we'll bring back the guitars too. 0 and 100 on cleans. Yeah, it comes back heavier. That's not what I wanted at all. I'll take it. Oh, I'm muted. I kind of liked it. You just think of Donald Duck. The muted composer. I don't know. The thing with Black Gaze is that I like the atmospheres generally, but I do want a little higher fidelity production. For whatever reason, my brain just wants more clarity. It's so compressed, and like that's the point of it. I'm not a big fan of it. But I like the vibes. There's an oppressive feeling to all of this. I don't know, it feels like the walls are closing in and the black metal vocals give this heightened feeling too. Trying to scream through this, to pierce through the wall, to find some extra space, and you just can't. But there's beauty there also from the strings, from all the clean instrumentation. And I love this balance of all of this. It's beautifully haunting and vibrantly compressed. It just never quite turns into something I'd want to listen to. The intro was a good part, and I did like the middle section too. And honestly, when it came in heavier, that had impact. It's one of those things that I enjoy artistically more so than, casually, where I think if I heard this whole album, I'd be emotional through it, I think. But it's not something that I would listen to for fun. It's one of those things that I think has impact and has a strong artistic heart to it. It creates a strong dynamic between the vocal and harmony. The separation is too stark to be enjoyable. I don't know. I feel that. I don't know if I'm always there because sometimes I do enjoy stuff like this. But I also think I would have really liked some clean vocal in there too, to add to the contrast, and for something just to latch onto. Because while we do have a couple of neat melodic ideas, it really is a textured, atmospheric thing. We get a lot of emotion, not a lot of melody. I'm going to pull it down. I got to find out more about him. And the thing that they're 7 years old, this to me is a modern sound. Like post 2020s type of adapting black metal into shoegaze. And yet this came out in 2013. I mean, that's 13 years old. That's 12 years old, man. Just, wow. What did I think about the lyrics? Bro, I had no idea what he was saying to me. All right. Music is a serious matter. I like the 2 in there. I'm actually going to go through the list soon because I'm going to be moving it from a spreadsheet list into a database so it's easier for me to search things. Because right now it's sort of just, it's a crapshoot, man. I'm like, hey, I want to get something in this list done. I just pull something out instead of like having a list of genres alongside them where I can say, I'm in the mood for this. And then I know that what I'm looking at is going to hit. And I think in that process, I'm also going to be kind of removing some stuff that maybe doesn't quite click for me as much today as it did 3 years ago when I decided to pull it down. But that's not something I'm doing right now. It'll be something to do later this year. I don't know if I mentioned this last stream, but I'm going to be making a roadmap for the channel. So y'all can kind of see what I'm working on, what I have planned to work on, and where things are in the pipeline. I'm hoping, if nothing else, it just gives me a bit of accountability because I feel like my plans last year slipped through my fingers and I didn't really get anything done that I wanted to get done. I got the spreadsheet together by the end of the year, which I'm pretty happy with. But there's a few other things. And, you know, Youth Worship Explosion called out my lack of opening music, which I said I was going to put together last year. And I think I said I'd put that together the year previously. The longer I put it off, the more weight there is to have this awesome waiting music at the beginning of the stream. But when are you ever in the mood for this? I don't know, dude. It's just sometimes it hits. I don't know if it's something I feel, but sometimes it works. I don't know. I got to get more in tune with that side of me. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me on this Sunday, enjoying some cool tunes, listening to my rambling, especially the long stint at the beginning of the stream. We had some really cool tracks today, some good conversation. Y'all are fantastic as usual. Calculator programming Ghostwriter stream was too short, but in the mood for putting it on. It's happened. I don't like it's not a feeling I have. Like sometimes when I'm just really happy, really bouncy, I'm like, I want something dancey, right? But there'll just be times when it's just a thought across the mind. You should probably put on something really gnarly. Sometimes something blackened matches that. So it happens. Y'all are definitely Stockholming me into enjoying blackened sounds. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier when Synapse was leaving, I don't know when today's stuff's going to be up, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the latest. Usually I get it up as soon as the stream's over, but I got to take care of some stuff first. And the stream went over, which is even crazier. Did not account for that. Blacken the wall. Gonna paint this. No more blue wall. Gonna get it black. But yeah, I'll try to get the VOD up as soon as I can. Early access, same. It's recorded. I just need to upload it and put the thumbnails together for it. Yeah. So get stoked for this week. It's Album of the Year week. We're going to check out some of y'all's favorites from last year. Saturday, as long as I can stick to the schedule, my AOTY video will be out. And we can discuss some of all of our favorites of this year. I put on Krauss When Life is Too Good and Needs Counterbalance. Yeah, the voice held up. It actually found a second wind. It's not as scratchy as it was. So, all right. You're in such a great mood. You need a downer. All right. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. And I'll catch you later.